Hi guys, and for you fans of Bluey that liked our last video, now we're going to do a new Bluey video. And these are the top 25 theories. If you haven't watched our last video, you don't have to, because we're going to uncover all of the other theories that we talked about in the last video. And the last one I'm saving for best. But this time I'm just going to tell you what the last one is. So for the last one, we're uncovering who Bluey's real best friend is. Okay, so let's just start again. Bluey had an older sibling. And if you already watched this video, you are welcome to skip to 11 if you watched our other video. Okay, 1. Bluey had an older sibling. So if you watch the episode The Show and Rain, you'll see that Bandit and Chili immediately hold hands after Bingo's balloon pops in that episode. So, meaning that they probably are. So, let me start over. If you watch the episode Rain, you'll see that there's a double rainbow, and it's a symbol that Bingo and Bluey are both rainbow babies born after a miscarriage. 2. Why is Bingo in the hospital and Bumpy in the Wise Old Wolfhound? Well, if you watch Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound, obviously, and Daddy Drop Off, you'll see that Bingo is sad in Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound because she is hospitalized. Yeah. Which I feel like is a normal thing for a dog. And in Daddy Drop Off, when Bandit is packing Bingo or Blue and Bluey's lunches, he says gluten-free, gluten not free, meaning that Bingo avoids gluten. And yeah, so Bingo is thought to have celiac disease, if I said that right, or she just avoids gluten. 3. Are Judo's parents divorced? And the short answer is that they already are. But if you watch the episode Butterflies here, I'll tell you more information. So you see that Judo is making Bluey avoid Bingo, which is pretty sad of Judo to do. And and having your parents divorced probably changes your behavior a little bit. So it is pretty sad that Judo would do this, but it was probably because of her parents being divorced. And we barely see Judo, only when she's at her mom's house, which she probably lives with her dad half of the time. 4. Bandit and Chili got divorced later before the show takes place. So if you watch the episode Postman or Dance Mode, you'll see that when Bandit and Chili are arguing, Bluey gets really upset and starts trying to make them feel better and stop arguing, which is like, you might be wondering why she would do that. Also, they weren't even arguing very badly. They were sort of explaining it how they were arguing, and it wasn't in a bad way is what they were saying. And in Postman, Bandit is changing his address, which means that he probably got divorced with Chili and moved out before the show takes place, but got back together, so he needs to change his address on his card. 5. Rad is adopted. If you watch the episode Fairy Tale and Double Babysitter, you'll see that Rad doesn't look like any of his parents. He doesn't look like Nana or Chris at all. I mean, he has blue on his bottom half, but is definitely not the same shade. And we don't even need to talk about how he looks like Grandpa Bob. 6. Bingo is the favorite. I'll explain this theory. If you watch the episode Mini Bluey, you'll see that Bluey is constantly getting compared to Bingo, because Bingo is doing stuff that is more organizing and, let's say, better than Bluey. And when Bluey is Big Bingo, the dad says, that Bandit says, double bingos, I could get used to this. And then Bluey gets sad and runs to her room and Bingo follows. And then, after that, Bandit and Chili say, but how good's double bingos behind their back? I meant her back. Well, yeah, their back, I guess. But Bluey was created by Joe Brum, and he says the show is based off of his two younger daughters, which the older daughter, which would be Bluey, the daughter that Bluey is based off of, would have been, if you would name the show Bluey, meaning your older daughter, instead of Bingo, meaning your younger daughter, I feel like if Bingo was the favorite, they would name the show Bingo. 7. Is Brandy Bingo's biological mother? And yeah, last video I accidentally got it wrong and said adopted mother, but we got it right now, and it's biological mother. So if you watch the episode Onesies, which is literally the only one Brandy's in, except for if you watch The Sign, which I don't make you watch, it is an episode that is about 30 minutes. You'll see that Brandy is pretty sad about coming back, and she's pretty scared. We don't really know why that happened, but let's keep going. So Brandy tells Bluey she looks just like her father, and she tells Bingo, and Bingo asks what she looks like, and Chili says you. And Brandy is really sad that Bingo went away, but it's just probably because she wants children, not really Bingo especially. 8. Why is Bandit depressed in Stickbird? Well, if you watch the episode Stickbird, obviously, you see that we have 3 reasons why he could be depressed. Grandpa Bob, which we've already talked about a little bit, he might not know where his dad is or think he's dead, but we all know if you watch The Sign, he went to India, and he might be sad about moving, which is in The Sign. Actually, just go pause this and go watch The Sign if you haven't. Or the beach might bring him a bad memory. But in the episode before that, he was just fine, but there's the episode The Beach, and he doesn't seem depressed at all. 9. Every kid in Calypso's class is neurodivergent. It's hard to say, but it means someone who has ADHD or disorders like that. So if you watch Typewriter in Army, you see, let's use Lucky for an example. Lucky lives over the fence with Bluey. Most people know that. But if Lucky lives pretty close to Bluey, he probably would go to the same school, right? But he doesn't. Also, let's use Jack. Jack, if you watch the episode Army where Jack moves to the school, Jack is telling Rusty that he moved to this school because of his ADHD or something like that he has. But if he moved if he was at a normal school, like that didn't help kids with ADHD, and he had it so bad that he had to move schools, he must have moved to a school that was for kids that had stuff like that. And if you take Snickers, who is in Typewriter, he he can't sit straight. You might think there is a other reason that I could think that he's a dachshund, but maybe there's something else. Okay, this was our big one and last one. Why does Bluey have a shirt? So we see that Bandit pees on his foot, and he has to clean it off. And to do this, he uses Bluey's shirt. He wipes it with Bluey's shirt. I know, it sounds disgusting, but wait, why does Bluey have a shirt? If you watch the episode Smoochy Kiss, which is what happens, you'll see that Bluey is literally naked, which is an animation choice. And that's how all normal dogs are. They're always naked. 11. Okay, so this, if you are watching, and you already watched the other video, you should skip to here because this is the part that wasn't in the other video. Okay, 11. Bluey is a retelling of her childhood. So, this sort of has a couple reasons. And I've seen this theory that people think that Bluey's parents are divorced. Well, not divorced, but people think that Bluey's parents seem like really good parents. Like too good to be real parents. I know, that sounds really weird, right? 12. Bluey and Mackenzie are getting married. If you watch the episode Barky Boats and Surprise, you'll see that in Surprise, Bluey's child looks like this. He looks a lot like Mackenzie, doesn't he? There is some theory saying that this could be Bandit and Chili's adopted child, but I feel like once your daughter is all grown up, you wouldn't have an adopted child who is about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Somewhere in that age group. 13. Bluey and Jean-Luc are getting married. Well, you heard me talk about Mackenzie just now. So why would I be talking about Jean-Luc now? Well, there's two people that people think that Bluey is going to get married to, and mostly it's Mackenzie, but let's explain Jean-Luc's. So if you watch the episode Camping, you'll see that Bluey meets again with Jean-Luc, which is pretty crazy if you ask me. Yeah, so since Bluey meets Jean-Luc again, people think that they could get married. Also, the kid could possibly look like that, or it could be adopted. 14. Socks has autism. Yep, Socks. She's my favorite character in the whole series. So if you watch the episode Baby Race, you might think, if you were a Bluey fan, but Socks isn't in Baby Race. Just keep watching. So you see how Bluey walks normally as a baby, and Socks sort of acts like a puppy, like an actual puppy. Well, I feel like this might be because the baby part was made after this, so maybe Joe Brown wasn't thinking about stuff like that yet. 15. So this part is a lot about Chili. Like these next 3 theories are a lot about stuff about Chili. So let's go through all of them. Okay, 15. Chili struggles with mental sadness issues. If you watch the episode Dragon, where this next part's pretty sad. So we see that Chili's mom has died. We don't really know why. People think it's because of cancer, and Chili's mom is the horse, as you can see, because at the end of the episode, the horse leaves. It turns into a weird Pegasus. I don't really. And it's sort of, you might think that last part is weird, but a Pegasus is meaning her mom. Also, if you remember in our first thing that Bluey had an older sibling, you'll remember that Bluey So if Bluey had an older sibling, it would be pretty sad if the miscarriage actually happened, which could lead up to Chili's mental sadness issues from losing a mom and a baby. Why is Chili so sad in Bedroom? So calling back, and if you watch Bedroom, remember about Bluey's younger sister, older brother or sister. We see that maybe the room was meant for him or her. We don't really. It's pretty good reason to be sad. Chili does say it's who's been in it. She never said who was going to be in it, because we obviously don't think that Bluey and Bingo know about their older brother or sister. The double babysitter thing was a setup. Yep. So if you watch Double Babysitter, obviously, which I've already said to watch, but that was just so yeah, I already said to watch this one, but so you see that when Bandit and Chili are introducing Rod and Frisky to each other, they're smiling, which is pretty weird. Like, they would probably be frowning if this happened and they didn't know about it. So, yeah. 18. Mackenzie has depression. Yeah. So, if you watch the episode Space, you'll see that Mackenzie has a flashback when he goes into the black hole, which might be a meaning of depression. 19. Bluey is a reality TV show. If you watch the episode Perfect and the episode Bingo, you'll see that there's two iconic things that happen in them. Like, let's say the part where the bandit goes, "It's Dad," and he's acting like he's looking at a camera. And yeah, you might think that's just probably a coincidence, but it happens again. In the episode Bingo, where Bingo's trying to play with herself and she plays I Spy, and she says, "I spy something colored green." And then she says, "Oh, come on." When she realizes that no one's gonna spy it for her, she literally tells no one it was the rug, by the way. And also, we can all see that it was the rug, but she tells, a camera. Look at both of these pictures. They look like they're staring next to a camera that could be watching for them. 20. Winton is scared of Coco. Not the movie Coco, the person Coco. Well, the dog. So if you watch the episode Wild Girls, you see that Winton looks very scared of Coco in this part. I think you might think it's just like that because they're playing, but think about it. I don't think Coco is very nice to Winston, and she might have done something that wasn't nice at all. So maybe Winston is actually really scared of Coco and not in the game. Also, the other kids might know that because in it, Bluey and Rusty and Chloe Bluey and Rusty were acting all worried and stuff. But this theory is a little bit weird because Chloe is playing along with Winton's so-called game. I was making air quotes, by the way. Anyways, so also, but there is a weird thing about this theory. If Winton was afraid of Coco, why would he ask to be a pig after Coco asked Indy to play Wild Girls? So you see that part. So why would Winton ask to play if he's afraid of Coco. So maybe this theory isn't really correct about that part. 21. Lucky's dad and Janelle weren't married for the whole series. So if you watch the episode Decider and Pass the Parcel, you'll see that Lucky's telling Janelle, well, Lucky's dad is telling Janelle, but this is the first time we see them. Also, so we haven't seen Janelle for literally until season 3, the episode Pass the Parcel, which is really weird. Why wouldn't we see her until Pass the Parcel? So a couple things are, maybe she is has a random job or quit or something and she's never home. And if you watch the episode Decider, it's the first time we see Chucky. Well, no. Well, the first time we sort of know his name. Yeah, and if you don't know, Chucky is Lucky's brother, but for some reason, Lucky doesn't know. Lucky, I feel like, so this is probably what happened. Lucky's dad got remarried, and Janelle and Lucky and Chucky are stepbrothers. But it's sort of weird. It sort of would be a big coincidence if you had a brother, literally have a stepbrother, literally having a name that rhymes with yours. And so, but if you don't understand why this would be a coincidence, you might be saying, hey, wait, but what if, Janelle and Lucky's dad, or aka Pat, by the way, I haven't said that yet, what if Janelle and Lucky's dad didn't actually, what if Janelle and Lucky's dad had Chucky together? But that might not be true. If that wouldn't be a coincidence if they had Chucky together. They might just, if they didn't have him together, they might just do some. They wouldn't name him that, but that could be. But we can see that Chucky looks about older than Bingo, maybe 6, 1 year younger than Bluey. And I think Lucky is about maybe 8 or 10 or 9. So I feel like Janelle is Lucky's stepmom, and Chucky is Lucky's dad or Pat's stepson. Yeah. So this theory is a little weird. Okay. 22. Trixie and Stripe got set up too. So if you knew what I was talking about when I was talking about Frisky and Rad getting set up, it's not that much of a crazy thing. But we had to put this one out a little bit farther because it's more crazy. I don't know if these theories really get crazier as they go, but it's pretty. But it does sound pretty good. So if you understand that, so in the last theory, we see, so let me talk a little bit about this. So if Trixie and Stripe got set up by, we know that Chili probably knew Trixie before she knew Stripe, and Bandit obviously knows Stripe since they're brothers. So if something like that happened with Trixie and Red too, maybe we don't really know. Also, that would have happened a really lot. And we don't know who got married first, but we probably think that it is Chili and Bandit that got married first, instead of Trixie and Stripe. So we think that Trixie and Stripe probably didn't get married after. So this theory is probably true, but it's a lot in the future since they already have kids. But Muffin is only 5, I think. Okay, 23. There is a history between dogs and cats in the Bluey universe. So you might be thinking that this picture is fake, like the older brother picture, but this picture is actually real and it's from Bluey. Well, it's not like actually real, like in the real world, but it's in the Bluey world, and that's the thing we're talking about today. So if you watch the parts in The Office, you see the picture next to the map, you see it's this, and so this picture is a picture of a dog holding a cat. We think it's probably dead by the looks of it. And so maybe dogs hunted cats because dogs chase cats in real life. They don't hunt them usually. They do. So if this theory was true, then we would probably not talk about it because they have to be theories to talk about it. I was stalling. Okay, anyways, let's just go to the next one. Okay, 24. Bluey is not in Bluey in chronological order? Okay. So let's see. So if Bluey wasn't in, so there is some episodes that sort of say that this isn't in chronological order, like that this is actually, like let's say so if you watch the episode, if you watch the episode Christmas Swim, and the episode Double Babysitter, you see that in Double Babysitter, Christmas Swim is after that, and we can see that Frisky and Rad are together. And that's like the only time you see them before the sign, which is pretty weird. So there is some episodes like this, like the episode before Stickbird, but there is some weird ones, like Road Trip. All we get to see is them going on their road trip, and it's sort of weird. Okay, next. Okay, so now the part you've been waiting for. Who is Bluey's best friend? Well, let's just make this part short. Bluey, if you watch the one alongside, you see that Honey is probably Bluey's best friend. And if you read the description in that episode and on Disney Plus, you see a short story about the power of friendship. And we probably see that Honey and Bluey are pretty good friends probably. And you might, and if you also watch the episode Doctor, you see that Honey's just sort of Honey's having a hard time coming up with stuff, and Honey says, "You always make me laugh." Bluey says, "You always make me laugh." Yeah. That makes sense because Bluey and Honey probably are best friends. But there is some exceptions. Like if you watch the episode Shadowlands, you see that Bluey is playing with Coco and Snickers, who might possibly be Bluey's best friend since she's known them since she was a baby. And she's also known Judo since she was a baby too. If you watch the episode Baby Race, which I have asked you to watch, and you probably know that. So, that is the end of this video. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe. And also, please tell us what Bluey videos you would like. Okay, so this is the end screen. It's marking the end of this video, which is really sad because this was a pretty good video. And yeah, if you've watched this part, you've been watching this for a half hour. Yep, you've been watching Bluey for a half hour. Whoop.